Professor Udenta Udenta, who is the founding National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy, is with me here. Thank you very much indeed for your patience.
It's a pleasure being with you, as always.
Yeah, well, it's great to see you. And you basically want to present a contrary narrative to what Malam El Rufai was saying on this program on Thursday.
Sure. I mean, I will start from that premise, because I watched the program from start to finish. It was an embarrassing moment for the country and for him. That sense of embarrassment is a sheer attempt to mystify a reality that is very plain. Elements in the presidency. I don't know whether they fought their way into the presidency, whether they overpowered the security guards, they invaded the spacemen for the president, the symbol of the national sovereignty. The president is a big state institution that they can break down into particulars. So in essence, the presidency itself allowed elements to overwhelm the president. And I didn't mention the CBN governor in that interview with you. And listen carefully. The designer of the policy is CBN that took it to the president who said, that's the mandate I gave you. And then he's okay, go ahead and do it. He did not mention that lot of elements in the presidency. You know the implication? Treason. Because he did not talk about the policy being not well enunciated, clearly grounded. He talked about sabotage. A deliberate attempt to sabotage the economy, the financial system, bring chaos, sow seed of chaos and discord in the country, and then topple the democratic order, all within the presidency that he is part of. The problem, Charles, if I take a back step, when we founded this republic in 1998-99, it was a careful design of Nigerian elite and the masses, coming out of that convulsive moment in which Abacha died and Abiola died, with his mandate not realized. I look carefully at the three parties then, the Alliance for Democracy, the PDP and the APP, and at the galaxy of performers who staked their life. And this here Rufai there, another Bola Tinubu, didn't play some marginal peripheral role. He was there in exile. I concede that as part of that democratic struggle.
Yeah, in fairness,
yes, as I concede that. I said even in my last interview, participated. He lost businesses, lost everything like we did. We suffered detentions, but when it came to constructing the infrastructure of this republic, he played marginal role. Rufai didn't play any role to the best of my knowledge. I know the galaxy, I don't have the time maybe to list them. But when you see them talk now with such level of petulance, of narcissism, almost as if the country owes them a lot, then it is worrisome. That is why, if you are part of a government, and the government has put out a policy, the policy is on the economy, the policy is on Naira redesign, the policy is on the fuel supply chain, you must embrace that policy. If the policy is not functioning well, you must admit it's not functioning well and improve upon it. I said a number of occasions, Tinubu will run on the legacy of Muhammad Buhari. He will run on the misery of the Nigerian people today. He will run on the pains in their heart. He will run on the chaos in the banking halls. He will run on the streets drenched with people looking for fuel. He will run on the poverty that is haunting the land. He will run on insecurity that has ravaged the whole nation. That is Tinubu's own inheritance. That is what he's going to run on. But because they can't run on it, they deflect. The politics of deflection is you see the subject you're supposed to embrace, but the picture is putrescent. It doesn't make any sense to you. Yeah, you deflect it to something else. That else is Atiku Abubakar of PDP, who is an opposition member fighting his way from the ground to the top. You're beneficiary of the presidential power delivered to you with infrastructure spread across the country, and yet you're attacking that institution ruthlessly. I told you the first Miloku statement in Abeokuta, and the second one in Abeokuta, and the comments across board, both in Ekiti, both in Calabar and elsewhere. That sense that the president means little. That said that the general cried. And one of his supporters said, Bola Tinubu carried the president on his back and nursed him like a baby and put him in office. And rewarding him with Naira redesign and with fuel scarcity to topple his ambition. That's the leader of the party. An appellation he has embraced so fully to his heart. And therefore, the chief policy strategies of APC combined, yet the own faction of the party seems to create a distance.
Yeah, well,
by mystifying a reality.
I'm not a spokesman for anybody. We're always objective. But in fairness to Malam El Rufai, he was talking about the Naira redesign, he made the point that he wasn't blaming the president, nor was this a policy of the APC, because we all know that monetary policy is supposed to act independently. I mean, the monetary policy from the central bank is something that should operate independently. And so he's saying that, I mean, he didn't mention the CBN, but obviously we know that monetary policy is controlled by the CBN. And he's then saying that there are people within the presidency, fifth columnists, who are trying to use that opportunity to undermine the chances of the APC presidential candidate emerging as a winner.
The unqualified, embarrassing moment for the country was the rufai's interview. You know why it is so? The Senate and the House of Representatives invited the CBN governor, even threatened to get him arrested, and invoked the act of the CBN. This framework for monetary considerations, monetary policy, that is their domain, almost as an independent entity that guides the economy to growth. They looked at the law. This is a policy of the central bank, but with approval given by the overall authority of the executive branch, the president. It's like the goat skin and the goat head, all together conjoined. The CBN, the presidency, the federal government, even the parliament. Rufai spoke about sabotage. He didn't talk about the law. He didn't talk about the act. He didn't talk about the CBN that originated a platform, a program. He talked about individuals who are not named, who overwhelmed the president, who played on his mind that his instinct from 1984 was an instinct in which he will always like to redesign an area to capture or to caught up with counterfeiters, hoarders, and economic terrorists. Having done so to the mind, the simple mind in the sense of Rufai, of the president, who has no sense of reflection, understanding of the policies of his own government, they hijacked it, overwhelmed the central bank, overwhelmed the president, and sabotaged the economy. That is sabotage and that is treason. So that is the implication of his statement out there. Beyond the banalities of that thought or evocation of that moment, the clear thing is that Rufai pointed out unnamed individuals as being consequential in conspiring against the Nigerian economic state with the president helpless. And each time he tried to deodorize the love and passion they have for the president, his lip service. I will not speak for the president of the party. As I said, the presidential moment, Buhari, for 8 years, has produced tangible perfumes for us to see in education, in poverty reduction, in infrastructure build, in health sector, in security, in the Naira redesign, in the value of our national currency. All this combined will determine the fate of Bola Tinubu. I did say in my first outing that Atiku will win. But the important thing is, speaking of government he will run, I do hope he goes to the party, gets a mandate in order to pretend a high council on reconciliation and deepen the theoretical formulation and the practical philosophical thesis on government of national unity he and Obasanjo did in 1999. I did mention to you that the Labour man, P2B, and his movement, we have a landfall. That landfall may not be sufficient for them to get over the line. And I did talk about the disaster for the nation that the Tinubu presidency will be. Because the infrastructure built in the past 7 years on politics is infrastructure is going to run on. But because that infrastructure has become so desolate in the minds of those of them in the faction of the party they belong to, that is why they're hitting at PDP, hitting at Atiku, hitting at every other person but themselves. The policy of redesign is a policy of the APC government. The first casting up is there for 13 months with Nigerians suffering in misery, some even dying. Is a policy of the APC government.
Right.
Tinubu is the candidate of APC. He will run for Buhari's third term. Whatever Buhari produces for the country as a legacy, Tinubu must embrace it.
Right. So in that context, we've got a couple of minutes, and I apologize, but we've got to go in a couple of minutes for another program to come in. But what is your assessment of the way the campaigns are going? Based on this assessment you're giving, who do you see as a likely winner?
I put it out there like sticking my neck out as a pundit, as a political strategist, and a guy who leads the theories. Atiku will win. And I say 3 forces, we compare that victory. Convergence of national forces is already happening in the north and elsewhere. 2, the abject performance of the APC government, including the chaos that the country is witnessing daily, and the heritage that Bola Tinubu has, which he cannot escape from, like a shadow. And then the landfall of the obedient movement will not have the sufficient spread, vitality, energy, and breadth to overwhelm the country as a disruptor. That may happen in future, but not this February. But when Atiku wins, what will he do as a unifier is to bring the country together rapidly. He can have the best economic policy. He can have the best designers of economic programs, managers for the economic engine room of your government. If you don't bring the elite together and bring the masses with them, if you don't build work of understanding across the geographies and demographies of the country among classes and other social formations, you will not succeed. Okay. If he does that, his government is going to be a solid government, whether it's a one-term presidency or something else.
But I do have to point out, in the interest of balance, that you are a supporter of Atiku Abubakar.
Let me put it this way, and I want it out there. As a patriot, I have a right to an opinion, and choice and preference. Yeah. But my participation in this process and in these programs I'm doing has to do with my sense of small entitlement in the protection of the republic and preservation of democracy. In building the guardrails that Tinubu and people like rufai are tearing down with insufferable arrogance, and with the character traits that could not become very dangerous even for the survival of our democracy. Okay. I did warn in passing, finally, if I were President Buhari, the associates around him, and the elements that rufai mentioned, I'll be worried to my bones about the prospect of a Tinubu presidency. What does that hold for me and my place in history? When he can look the president and his team able to ever say, it is Atiku Abubakar who is propelling the policies, the failed policies of an APC government. That is very crucial.
We will have to leave that question you asked hanging, and hopefully it'll be answered by the 25th of February. Prof, I want to thank you very much indeed. It's always an enormous pleasure getting your just absolutely lush analysis. Professor Udenta Udenta is the founding National Secretary of the Alliance for Democracy. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Charles, to be with you.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Paris, bye-bye and thank you for watching.